We've all seen the disparity. One student grinds through 3 hours of library time, while another spends 40 minutes on the same material. Come test day, the 40-minute student recalls everything, and the 3-hour student struggles to find the words. Looking at these outcomes, it's clear the gap isn't caused by a difference in IQ or innate talent. It is the result of how each person's brain is being asked to work during those minutes. The 3-hour student typically relies on a loop of repetitive, passive reading. They scan the same paragraphs 5 times, assuming that the more their eyes cross the text, the deeper it sinks in. Success in studying cannot be measured by the clock. Time spent in front of a book is meaningless if the information isn't being correctly encoded for later use. When you read a familiar sentence for the 3rd time, your brain signals that it knows the information. This is recognition. Your eyes are simply acknowledging something they've seen before. This diagram illustrates the difference between that passive flow and retrieval. Retrieval is the high-effort process of pulling information out of your brain from scratch. Recognition is easy. Retrieval is difficult. You see this when you try to learn song lyrics. You don't master them by reading the text. You master them by singing along until you stumble. That specific moment of failure is where the actual learning occurs. True memory is built by identifying what the brain cannot yet pull out on its own. To start the 3-2-1 method, you need to simulate a sense of urgency. Before you open your notes, imagine you'll be tested on the material in exactly 10 minutes. This leads into the 3 focused passes. The first time you read, you are only looking for the big picture. You move quickly to understand the structure and the main point without highlighting a single word. During the 2nd and 3rd passes, you zoom in. Now you are catching the details, the names, the dates, and the specific connections you overlooked during the first sweep. At this stage, the information is only sitting in your short-term storage. You haven't built a memory yet. You've just organized the data so it's ready to be tested. Because even a focused read is still a form of passive input, you have to transition to active filtering to make the knowledge stick. Now for the 2 in the 3-2-1 method. Close your book, put your notes away, and explain the concept out loud to an empty room. Don't worry about being perfect. Stumbling over your words or paraphrasing the text into your own language is a necessary part of the process. Eventually, your explanation will hit a wall. You'll reach a point where you can't remember the next step of the process or the name of the key figure. This halt in your speech is a success. The silence pinpoints the exact gap in your knowledge. You perform this cycle twice. Identify the gap, check your notes to fill it in, and explain the concept again to ensure the connection is solid. Verbalizing is great for broad concepts, but speech is often too fast and flexible. Your brain can use filler words to bridge small details it doesn't actually know. This is the danger of spoken recall. You can bluff. You might think you understand a biological process because you can describe it generally, even if you've forgotten the specific terminology. To remove the ability to bluff, you move to the 1. Take a blank piece of paper and write down everything you remember about the topic without looking at your notes. Writing is a slower, mechanical process. It forces a level of precision that speaking does not, making it impossible to skip over the details you are shaky on. Every blank space you leave on that paper is a literal representation of a fact you were about to forget. The blank page acts as the ultimate diagnostic filter. It strips away the illusion of knowing and leaves you with the reality of what you have actually retained. To finish the audit, compare your handwritten notes directly against the original material. Look for the specific names or connections you missed and write them into the gaps. This is where the long-term memory is solidified. Because your brain had to struggle and fail to find those facts, it is now primed to hold on to them once they are reintroduced. This is why the 40-minute student wins. They don't measure their study session by how many pages they read. They measure it by how many gaps they successfully identified and filled. This method is effective in a classroom, but the same mechanics of retrieval are used in environments where there is no paper and no room for error. In tactical operations, personnel must memorize complex routes and mission-critical data under extreme pressure. A single gap in recall can have immediate real-world consequences. When the stakes are this high, mastering the mechanics of memory becomes a tool for managing critical information when every detail matters.